Welcome to Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest. On Twitter, you can find me at Mr. Honest, I believe. I'm gonna have to go double check that. And we're also on Marvel Maniac Pod, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are most likely there. I meant to say Marvel Maniac Pod is on most social networking platforms too, and you'll get a little Easter egg of me not having done anything on those channels for months. Just getting the show back up and running, aka this is like the 10th new episode in a row. We are on a roll here, and today we're here to talk about a little bit of a scary topic: witches. Witches aren't really that scary if you really think about it. I think Harry Potter kind of like normalized witches and wizards, but this is kind of a more like classic-y take on witches in the brand new show Agatha All Along. We are going to be discussing episodes 1 and 2 today, and I realize I'm a little late with this review, and I apologize for that. I wanted my Doctor Strange episode to shine, and I was going to do this, post this before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and then I started watching this episode, and I thought, my show isn't in any constructive, like, certain order of things right now, like, in terms of, like, what movie comes after the other, but I believe I started an arc by revisiting WandaVision, starting Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange 2 goes straight into the show, and I was right. Like, there is there is some follow-up to WandaVision and Wanda in this show, which is what you'd hope to expect. My expectations were kind of like really low for this show, and I'll admit it, I don't think I was like even almost ready to give it the time of day. I don't know why. I just like everything's it didn't feel like the show anyone asked for, but maybe it's just the show that we need right now. You could tell there's a lot of creative power behind this show, and you could tell that the people making the show, just by the way it's filmed, and I'm already loving the script and the idea of the story and where we're going with it. We're not going to go into like super deep detail today. We're going to cover what happens in the first 2 episodes, some of the bigger moments mostly. And so our first episode is titled Seekest Thou the Road, and we get a little bit of an unexpected first episode. It's slightly confusing and not at the same time. It reminds me very much of the beginning of WandaVision, and I have no doubt that the way they handled this first episode was an homage / we're telling us we're continuing a little bit of that story, and we're back to Westview. And I believe in my after show with TJ and Dustin, when WandaVision was released and finished, we had a question we were asking around. Like, I think I asked TJ, he asked me, will Westview ever come back? And I think it was like without a doubt, no. We didn't think so. And the fact that the town, at least in the beginning of the show, is kind of showcased, paid homage to, there's already a bit of nostalgia in Westview, and seeing so many of the same characters in this first episode, you wonder if Agatha has a hex of her own going on right now. She is a cop now. She's like working for the FBI, and her name's Agnes again. So, I mean, from the very beginning, can we draw that she's under the spell still, or has she controlled the spell to take over her whole world? There's a lot of speculation, in my notes going on up until the, figuring out exactly what's going on here. And let's just say it's not that complex, but the reveal of it is really fun. We'll come back to this. I just want to appreciate a little bit of this first episode, because we get Herb, the neighbor from WandaVision, and he's very charismatic, and he's one of the police officers, and Agatha goes to him and finds out there's a body, and she goes to see the body, and there's a lot of hidden meaning in this scene, because what do we find out later? Okay, Agatha's making all this up in her head, and anyone who she's actually talking to, like Herb, about the crime scene stuff, he's just willfully playing along, because she got bit by, in his words, the FBI bug. So she's still under Wanda's spell. I said this. Sometimes I act like the surprises in the episode are surprises in this episode, but it's like we just all saw it, so I could say that. Like I don't have to say spoiler alert for the episode we all just watched. A little bit in my head. The beginning reminded me of The Wire, although I did hear, I believe on Screen Crush that it was Mayor of Easttown or something like that. It was based off of like an actual show. It was really close to that show. My notes are like, how and why are they detectives like Herb and Agnes? And it's, I feel like it's more painfully obvious when it's revealed at the end of the episode what's going on. They don't like waste any time in like getting to the bottom of that. I like the characters so far for both episodes. They're very compelling. Let me just get the name of the second episode out of the way now because it's long. And they're doing like this song that they do at the end of episode 2 is I believe the lyrics to that song are the titles to the show. So the first episode is called Seekest Thou the Road, and then the second episode is Circles Sewn with Fate / Unlock Thy Hidden Gate. My first time reading it, I'm like, are they doing like that thing like cartoons do where there's 2 episodes in one episode? That's interesting. But no, that they're doing the song. So I think that's kind of cool. I thought the song at the end, okay, so I was feeling like it was a little bit cheesy at first. But then it kept going, and it had conviction, and the actresses doing it were doing it with so much conviction that by the end of the song, I was hyped, and I thought that was a really fun scene, and it really kind of sets a interesting tone to this show, because this show has elements of WandaVision, but it also has kind of its own thing going. And the way they introduce us into the world of the witches and this road. And there's a lot of little enticing little secrets that are just very, make you move very curious. So I'm impressed with the show on that end. They have a lot of questions I want answered. But these first 2 episodes, not needlessly, they need to be paired together. It's really great that they released a second episode right after the first, just so we can get Agatha as Agatha for the first night. If we just got the brainwashed version of her and not that second episode, we might feel a little in the, I don't know, it just might not have sit down as well until we've seen both episodes. I think it was a really good idea to do that. They're doing that for the last 2 episodes 8 and 9 as well for the show. And I reminded you guys once, I'll remind you again, I didn't think highly of the announcement of this show when it came out. But how do they make it a fun show? And when I underestimate things, I love when they prove me wrong. And I think Catherine Hahn, God forgive me if that's not her name. I literally have Wikipedia like right here, like in the tab. Her name is Catherine Hahn, and she is such a great comedic actor that the fact that she can come in and bring some of these dramatic elements on top of like the comedic genius that she is, she carries the show. She makes you want to watch more. She makes you invested. The supporting cast just as much. We got young Joe Locke as Justine. Heard some theories being thrown around about this character. We are not allowed to know his name. It seems like part of Wanda's spell still works on Agatha when he tries to tell her the name. The whole first episode is Agatha playing this crime detective show, but we do have Aubrey Plaza's character, Rio Vidal, I believe her real name is. I watched these episodes twice. We have Sharon Davis, who is, from That 70s Show, but also from WandaVision, Mrs. Hart. And we even have a moment between Agatha and Sharon where she says, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Hart." And she says, "No, that was the role that Wanda picked for me." And it's interesting how the town is still kind of having some PTSD over that. Like when Agatha comes to and she's butt naked in the street asking her why she was being flattered by him doing the FBI stuff. And she mentions Wanda to her, and he says, "We try not to say that name around here." So, yeah, Wanda caused a lot of trauma in Westview, and it's just another example of kind of like the evil things she did on her list of things. Although we got to see really importantly, how and why she did all this and the whole Westview scenario. And I just love how the first episode is paying homage to WandaVision and the fact that Agatha is stuck in a TV show and we don't know exactly how she got there. Like the spell like progressed her to be in like kind of like a crazy state of mind and seeing things for 3 years since Wanda left her. Literally, that's how long she was left with the spell. That's crazy. Like that, you know, when she finally breaks it, my favorite visual, one of my favorite like standout moments is right towards the end of this episode, the first one where she's like realizing through Aubrey Plaza's character, who is still a bit mysterious, but she is clearly a witch and she's clearly very powerful. And I don't know if we'd name her the main antagonist because we saw this other coven of witches that are purely evil, and I wonder if they're like the ghost of the witches Agatha took power from. The first episode is all pretty much that crime thing up until the end where she starts taking off all her clothes from WandaVision. Like it goes back in time. It goes through all the eras of WandaVision, her clothes, and it even gets to like the 1950s and she's black and white and she has to get out of that too. And, she like kind of like wakes up into reality, that moment. And the whole episode we have Aubrey Plaza's, Rio coming in and saying like, is this what you think of yourself? And laying hints that maybe even Agnes knows in there somewhere that what she's doing is all fake. It sounds really honestly worse to have like to be that crazy and because of the Scarlet Witch. Like I can't imagine being under a trance at all, let alone for 3 years. And when she wakes up from her trance, she also is completely powerless because Wanda took her powers. And she taught Wanda everything in one episode, and Wanda, like, she let her go, and then Wanda got away, either or, and then Wanda completely took care of Agatha because of all that new information that Agatha kind of gave away. I think Agatha has pride in being a witch, and there was total jealousy between her and Wanda. But I do love the crime thing, and I'm glad they didn't spend too long on it. Like I was worried they'd like do most of the show where she's in a trance like this or something like that. No, they took care of it really early. They paid homage, and they set a really good path forward for the new episode and episode 2 following when she comes out of her trance. You know, I love how she slowly discovers that Wanda is now, in quotes, dead. You know, even in the first scene, the body is reminiscent of what Wanda wore when she left Westview. And the tips of the body's fingers are completely black, which we know means Darkhold. Darkhold. Anyone who uses the Darkhold, their fingers go like dead or become black. We see it a lot in Multiverse of Madness on Wanda and Stephen Strange 838. I don't think our Doctor Strange gets the hands because he only really uses it one time. However, that one time was enough to unleash his third eye. So after like an episode of like, okay, why is Agnes still in this state of mind? Who's Aubrey Plaza? Is she a former lover, a former friend, an enemy? You know, and we don't learn much more in the following episode, you know, after Agatha's woken up. And we meet a character who is still at this point called Teen because every time he introduces himself, a spell covers his mouth and it looks like an M. So there are theories that this is Billy or Timmy or Billy, one of Wanda's kids. And then there's speculation that it's Agatha's kid. Like the theory is that Wanda put so much energy and truth into her children that when the hex went away, their essences were too big to just disappear. So they may have flown into like babies being born or like another body or something like that. I'm not sure how that'll be explained, but it's clearly the Teen's name. Who's kind of like a glue to this group. I could tell he's going to be some awkward comedic relief. I think he's very funny, and I like him. I appreciate him. I'm interested in seeing where his show goes. When Agatha finally catches him stealing, she meets him stealing from her, and gets him in the investigation room, which she later sees as like her room with the painting on the wall. It's funny. Like, you think that she did what Wanda did, but she was only doing it to herself. And that is sad. That's sad to live that long, like your life like that. I think the first person to ever mention the witch's road, is the teen character. It's in the first episode. And when all of Agatha's walls start coming down, thanks to Aubrey Plaza, aka Rio, who burst Agatha's door open at one point, I believe at the beginning of the second episode, letting her know that this coven of evil dark witches that remind me of the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings, except there's like 6 or 7 of them, and they like kind of act as one. So like literally in a day's time, Agatha has to gather. We're in episode 2 now, by the way, and episode 2 is titled "The Circle Stone with Fate: Unlock Thy Hidden Gate." So to be clear, first episode was kind of like a nice homage, and then the second episode is almost like setting up the rest of the show, which is fun, and I think that's why they made it a 2-part season premiere. So, Circle Stone with Fate, Unlock the Hidden Gate. Aubrey Plaza, I can't saying that because I know her for who she is, but Rio, she gives Wanda kind of a warning. Like, she says, "I'm not the only one that wants you dead," and that coven of witches, she says they'll be there by sundown. So Agatha, like I said, has to come up and get a coven of witches, and they have to do this ritual to open the witch's road. And this is how Agatha apparently got her powers first, and she wants to get them back. I wonder if Agatha will have anti-hero moments or will fully turn on these women. She first goes to a psychic called Lilia, and Lilia seems like a fake psychic at first until like at the end of her scene, like she totally reveals that she knows what's going on. So Lilia seems like a phenomenal actress. I like her as a character. We meet Jennifer, who is selling like candles, but they're like probiotic candles. So if you burn them, you can like take the candle wax and eat it, and it's good for you. That's interesting and something I'd probably never try. Like eating candles. That's interesting. And then our last but not least new witch that we meet is Alice. And she is a security guard at like a Hot Topic or something. And Agatha puts some stuff in Teen's pocket. She calls him Toto, which is a total Wizard of Oz reference, which makes you realize slowly that this whole show, starting in the second episode, is reminiscent of the Wizard of Oz. They're going to be going down a road together. She has a partner, the dog, Teen Toto, and she gathers 3 companions for this journey as well. Well, I guess it's 4 companions, but 3 real witches and 1 non-witch. I wonder if Sharon Davis, aka Mrs. Hart, will be a freaking witch by the end of this thing. It's kind of interesting to wonder. She's kind of like that fun character to bring along for comedic relief. That's where the show is honestly shining for me. It's not taking itself too seriously, and Agatha is kind of like a funny, wacky character from what we know, at least in WandaVision, and we know she's really strong at deception. She's very charismatic, and I think learning more about that character in general is a lot of fun, especially putting her in a cast of phenomenal actresses. I'm sorry, it's not one actor but Teen, and I think it's funny that he's just called Teen because we can't figure out his name. That's obviously like a twist waiting to be unwrapped. It's somebody's kid. If it ends up being one of Wanda's kids, nothing will stop her from coming back to life to be with the kid. But I don't know. I'm curious, but I'm not going to definitively like say anything on that because I have no idea. It's just speculation at this point. I don't think anybody knows. But anyway, like they go see Alice, and Teen this whole time has been like giving them the address to Agatha's place to come meet up before sundown so they can do this ritual. And there are different types of witches, and we're learning a little bit more about like how there's a few different types of witches. I don't want to stay like too long in any one moment right now. I definitely want to give you my overview of the episode, but I'm trying to work on more cohesive episodes, if you haven't noticed, compared to my earlier days where I kind of like go down and break down every second of dialogue. That could be fun, but to me, it's extremely tedious. And I kind of taking an approach of talking about what's in my mind at the time and having a conversation directly with you, the listener, instead of being really caught up in notes. I could just kind of like recall what I recall. If I missed any big moments that you wish I talked about, or like I might have missed, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com, and we're also marvelmaniacpod@gmail, not Gmail, and X. We're Marvel Maniac Pod on Instagram. You can always reach out. Constructive criticism is always welcome. I'm just trying to keep it polite. Sensitive guy. I'm nothing but a big sensitive guy. So Teen is giving the information. By the way, they got Alice fired from her job, which would sit with me right if I were her. But she must know the seriousness of this trial and tribulation of the Witch's Road. And she meets them there at the given time before sundown. The coven was really supposed to have Aubrey Plaza's character, but Agatha doesn't want her, so she goes and gets Sharon Davis as the sixth member of their crew. And as Rio, aka Aubrey Plaza, I'm gonna start calling her by her character name next week. She warned, like I said, Wanda about the other people who want her dead, and she has by sundown they'll show up. Well, they start singing this really catchy song that has gone like viral, and I can't replicate it for you, but it's a long song, and it is like the chant to open the Witch's Road, and the teen is running all over the house like trying to put off these creepy creatures that like move in unison. Like I said, all black capes. They look like ring wraiths. I personally think and predict that they're like the ghosts or zombies or something of the witches Agatha took their power from when she was being hung at a stake. You know, the Salem witch trials were run by the Salem witches, apparently. I think that, as Mordo says in Doctor Strange, the bill comes due. I have a feeling that they're like kind of like death versions of those characters, but I'm sure we'll find out more about them. And they sing the whole song, and nothing appears, and there's no road. And they start to argue a little bit. Fingers start to get pointed. During the song, I swear to you, I heard Sharon Davis, aka Kitty from that 70s show. I swear she was singing the song too. If not, she was there swinging hands with everybody and like, getting into it at the very least. Just as Teen arrives, they kind of realize below them is a door or an opening to a path. So the path was opened. It worked. They got the coven together. They did the chant, and they opened the Witch's Road. That's about as simple as it can get for you folks. Teen rushes down because they got to get out of there because those angry evil spirit dark demon thingies are following him and are about to enter the house and try and kill them. So they all run down the Witch's Road. Agatha's the last one down the trapdoor, and as she's going to close it, one of the creatures, they are walking on, they're like literally crawling like horror movie creatures down the stairs, and Agatha like rushes to that spiral staircase. I had to re-record that because I kept messing up the word. Spiral staircase. Got it. After Agatha gets down the trapdoor and Sharon Davis makes her way down the stairs, she looks up back towards where the door was, and there's only rock now. So there's no way back. They are going down the Witch's Road, whether they like it or not. I'm just worried about Senor Scratchy, the bunny, and hope like he's okay at the house, and the evil demons don't do anything to him. I think he's fine. Please be okay, Senor Scratchy. There's also this brooch, I think it's called, that, or it's a locket of some sort that Agatha had found in the crime era of her show, which was one episode, and it had some hair in a locket, and she puts that on when she comes to, and doesn't take it off. So speculation on that is that Rio, aka Aubrey Plaza's hair, or what is that? It's not Wanda's hair. Another moment from the first episode I wanted to highlight was the Darkhold reference and Wanda's name coming up on the last person who checked it out on the library card, and also before her, Agatha's name shows up. And it's the Darkhold is like an empty space in this character's life. I think Agatha had it for a while, from what I know. Maybe we'll learn more about that. But she clearly couldn't conjure the magic of the Scarlet Witch if she had the Darkhold. She probably learned minor spells from it, but I don't think I think you have to be the Scarlet Witch, if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. We see that one Doctor Strange, the evil one with the third eye. He has the Darkhold, so, and he seems to know how to use it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like bonus powers for Scarlet Witch to use the Darkhold. Just another few episode 1 things that I didn't want to miss. What was your favorite part of these first 2 episodes? MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. You may just be on the show if you want, or if you want to be anonymous, just say it, and we will keep you anonymous. Apparently, to walk down the road, you have to take your shoes off, so everyone takes it off. You know, there's a big significant moment where we stop and we get to see the road ahead of them, and you know, Agatha and the teens share like kind of like a look of excitement. Agatha is purely excited. So where does it go from here? It's a great question. For most Marvel things, I do like to try and avoid trailers unless like I just give in. Like I remember like Spider-Man No Way Home. How am I not going to watch the trailer? But like, no, I was able to kind of like not really see too much like about what's to come. So I wonder if the walk down the road is an episode or like the rest of the series. I wonder what lies ahead on the road, like monsters or creatures. Where does the road where is the road? Is it a different dimension, or is it just like a secret forest on Earth, like the place in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Ta Lo? I think that's it. We're getting lots of dimensions in the multiverse saga, and dimensions are an extension of that universe. I've learned, like the quantum realm. Owen Wilson brings up at the end of Loki that they got a Kang variant and an Earth adjacent realm, which is the quantum realm, and they took care of it. Okay, Earth adjacent. So every universe has its own quantum realm somehow. And if you think about it, it's like, well, what about the time travel and all that? Well, that makes sense. If you do something different, you can break the timeline and you'll get branches and all that. But the Avengers going through was a perfect circle. So I love that. And I'm really off course here because we're coming up to an end. I am convinced that Agatha will be faced and tempted by gaining pure power and ultimate evil at the expense of probably her coven. And I think the redemption moment for Agatha in the series will be when she turns down that offer of power and sticks with her new found coven and friends, making it so she's not stealing anybody's powers. She's a loyal friend and a good witch. I think she's going to have a lot of growth, and we're going to see a lot of positive changes, but she's not going to change as a person. She's going to be just as funny. I think she's just going to need to, stand on the wire, like Captain America says to Iron Man. Like, we need to see her as a leader, be a good leader, not a mean, twisted, sinister, ulterior motive type leader. And she's already kind of got the ulterior motives, but that's just part of who she is, making her a complex character. I don't know how or if they'll bring this into the further MCU. It's a very big possibility that Agatha can show up at any point when we need her for a story in the MCU. I don't think there's any immediate plans to have her unless this like show at the end of the episode like starts Secret Wars or something. I think this show's going to be kind of a nice contained story, and it'll give option for more of this character if warranted or wanted. She could be a fan favorite. I'd say with the start of these first 2 episodes, it's off to a very good start. I mean, I'm seeing positive responses online, and it's just what Marvel needs right now. Like, something that's not too important to the main story that we could just kick back, watch, and go for a little bit of a ride. And underestimating things, you don't want to, underestimate everybody, but if you can bring yourself to underestimate things, and not hope too high, when those things prove that thought wrong, it's kind of like joyful. Unless you're spiteful about like, oh, I wish I was right, but I don't know many people like that. I kind of like being proved wrong by movies and shows, underestimating Agatha and seeing that this is a show that I want to watch every week and talk to you guys about until it's over. So that's my decision. This episode's being posted on a random day because I wanted to get my Doctor Strange episode posted, but my goal is to get Agatha after shows posted the night they premiere, if not the following morning, and that is my goal / promise to you. If something changes, I'll let you know. I'm going to be better than before. If I'm about to disappear, you'll know it. I ain't getting dusted. I ain't going anywhere. We're hitting our prime, and we are just getting better with every episode. I truly thank you for being here. I gave you marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. I always say, just send us your theories, your thoughts. Just let me know you're listening. What do you think of the show? I think I listen back to older episodes, and I'm like, okay, we're way more structured now. I was on a tangent during Hawkeye. I still go on tangents, but it's a learning experience. And to be coming up on 100 episodes will feel like that learning experience is bringing me to a new level. Every episode is a new journey. Every day is a new opportunity. And I have a lot of faith that my favorite cinematic universe, and only one, is going to prevail. And it's going to come out on top. And little things, maybe like a great episode of Agatha All Along, is just a sign of small promise that us hardcore fans need to know that the quality is staying in the shows, and they're not going to go down in quality. They're only going up. So thank you for being here again. I'm a little repetitive on my ending here. I just think things just keep popping in my head. Thank you so much for listening. And the next time you'll hear me is for episode 3 of Agatha All Along, followed by the following Friday of next week with a movie covered episode or just a special episode. This has been Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. And until next time, Avengers, disassemble.